Tonight, calls to further support our young people in the wake of sobering new homeless statistics, and more weddings cancelled as further coronavirus restrictions come into play.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Louise Huber begins now.
Good evening. Bleak new figures released overnight have revealed 1 in 6 young people in South Australia have experienced homelessness. Mission Australia says existing policies are failing to tackle the issue and is calling on the government to set up a national strategy to put an end to the scourge.
Shining a spotlight on the harsh reality young people face in South Australia.
We know in our regional communities it's a growing issue that we see.
1 in every 6 South Australians have experienced homelessness, according to a new report by Mission Australia. Support workers say they're seeing red. Frustrated, the state's homeless rate has plateaued over the past 2 years, pointing the finger of blame squarely at government policy. But SA Human Services Minister says the government's $550 million housing and homeless strategy aims to prevent people from becoming homeless and to provide public housing.
Policies which are existing, are not actually tackling these issues. We still see a lot of issues with youth homelessness that still needs to be at the forefront.
More than 25,000 young people aged 15 to 19 took part in Mission Australia's survey, with 1,400 or 5.8% responding that they had lived out of home for more than 6 months, which experts say is a recipe for long-term homelessness.
If a young person is homeless, if they enter a homelessness system, crisis accommodation and support services, that they're 3 to 4 times more likely to enter those systems as an adult.
The bleak results also shone a spotlight at the increase of couch surfing, with children as young as 12 having no choice but to move from home to home each night. Alarmingly, support organisations say those experiencing homelessness were 4 times more likely to feel sad and twice as likely to experience psychological distress.
If you don't get on top of it when you're young and seek the support you need, it can often exacerbate and become worse into adulthood.
Mission Australia taking aim at the government's handling of the situation, calling for an overhaul of policy, wanting 500,000 affordable homes to be made available by the end of the decade nationally. The Minister also says more than 20,000 affordable housing outcomes would be delivered in the next decade, saying COVID has further highlighted the need for a working system.
We need to look at this as a joint support because homelessness is everybody's business. It isn't just a homeless services responsibility.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Vandals have rampaged through Port Pirie, destroying a number of trees. Port Pirie Council has been forced to foot the bill to fix the damages, leaving the mayor outraged and disappointed.
These trimmed trees are all that's left following an act of destruction on Wandera Road. Council members are fed up and sending a strong message to town vandals.
You just need to do a bit of a reality check and start thinking about others instead of yourself. And if you want to continue to do this, go somewhere else to live.
Residents raising their concerns on social media, sharing images and labelling the attacks as appalling, a label the mayor agrees with.
Now, I came and had a look at it, and it is absolutely heartbreaking. This section we have put a lot of effort into planting and having a beautiful entrance into our CBD.
Port Pirie Council quick to fix the damage. These stumps and trimmed branches are all that are left. Ongoing damages to public property left to the taxpayers.
Vandalism costs us between $80,000 and $100,000 per annum, just dealing with little things around the place, and that's money we can be spending more on our community.
Anyone that may have witnessed vandalism around the town are being urged to contact Port Pirie Police.
Multiple weddings across the region have had to be cancelled for the second time, with the South Australian government reinforcing tight restrictions from midnight last night. Many couples are experiencing additional stress and anxiety over their big day, but the state government says it isn't taking any chances.
It's meant to be one of the most magical days of a couple's lives, but this year many have been tainted by COVID-19. The South Australian government today capping weddings back to a 100-person limit, undergoing precautions to avoid a potential second wave across the state.
There's still a lot of uncertainty, especially with the outbreak in New South Wales and Victoria. People are really hesitant. Weddings cost a lot of money.
Gail Ferguson, a Whyalla civil celebrant for almost 17 years, has never experienced anything like it, having to cancel more than 20 weddings over the past few months.
Contacted all of my clients to see what they wanted to do, and all of them wanted to cancel, which was highly advisable given we didn't know how long the epidemic was going to go for.
Gail has had to make the tough decision to retire at the end of the year, passing on her rescheduled clients to other celebrants. Many couples are still hesitant to rebook.
Heard so many stories of people losing refunds and losing money, and that's just, that's not good for local business, it's not good for anybody.
Tracy says her experience has been couples starting to reschedule for late next year, but with realistic expectations.
People are really having two lists, if I'm honest, just sort of, going with the big day just in case they can go ahead with it, but also being a little bit more realistic that the restrictions may also still be in place.
Funerals have also been capped to a 100-person limit and in-house social gatherings restricted back to 50. Victorians will also no longer be able to enter South Australian borders unless it's an essential reason. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, concerns continue over the Kimba waste facility, and a regional visitor centre reports a massive increase in visitation thanks to a Travel Local campaign. Hello again. Fresh concerns have been raised over the controversial nuclear waste management facility set for Kimba. Job certainty and maritime workers' safety have been at the forefront of conversations.
There's fresh concerns for the Kimba waste facility, this time about 45 jobs.
PANZA has indicated that it's possible to have a facility that is not manned, and I suspect over the next few years, after the facility has been built, the jobs will actually disappear.
But the Australian Radioactive Waste Agency claims the jobs will remain.
In fact, government's allocated $8 million in a community development package to make sure that the community can skill up and take advantage of those jobs.
Another concern raised over the possibility waste could be transported from Kimba through our regional ports.
A spillage or one of those casts were to break and crack, there could be incredible human and environmental implications.
I think you need to appreciate there's some people that are opposed to the facility no matter what happens in Australia.
Rowan Ramsey looking towards the future of the Kimba site.
And people should put down their swords and let us get on with the job.
Another Senate hearing is set for next week. Laura Milovanovic, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
A man has been caught high-range drink driving in Port Augusta. When he was pulled over last night, the 26-year-old allegedly returned a blood alcohol reading of 0.281, which is more than 5 times the legal limit. The man was reported for drink driving and driving disqualified. He lost his licence for 12 months and has had his car impounded. The way residents in regional South Australia submit planning and development applications will soon change as part of a transition to an online platform through the Department of Planning and Infrastructure. The changes are set to roll out over the coming months. The Port Augusta City Council's reminding residents appointments will now be essential to speak to a planner, building inspector or environmental health officer. Staff at Port Lincoln's Visitor Information Centre say they've been run off their feet after recording one of the busiest winter school holidays in recent years. The council says it's optimistic about the city's tourism industry, which is expected to bounce back from the pandemic stronger than first thought.
Cut off from the outside world, South Australians explored their own backyard during the winter school holidays. A busy 2 weeks for staff at Port Lincoln's Visitor Information Centre as tourists flooded in.
We had over 2,500 people through the door in the 2 weeks, mostly South Australians. In comparison to last year, July 2019 school holidays, we had just over 1,800, so quite an increase.
That's more than a 40% increase from last year, with visitors from Adelaide making up a large proportion. Shark dives, wineries, seafood and wildlife, the big ticket items.
Getting outdoors, so the National Park was very popular, both Coffin Bay and Lincoln National Park.
At the start of the year, Council predicted around 80% of Adelaideans had never explored the West Coast. That number now flipped on its head, with just short of 1,000 city nomads exploring the region over the holidays.
We're very hopeful that things are on the increase.
According to council results, visitors spent big while touring, with sales up 95%, travellers averaging $200 of unplanned spending additional per person. That's around $500,000 being injected into the economy.
We're actually very active on social media and through our website, so we're actually developing videos that we can sort of put on that at least people can see what they're coming over, and they've been accepted very well.
The city bracing for another influx of visitors, with accommodation already getting snapped up for the Term 3 school holidays. A promising sign the region's tourism industry will bounce back stronger than ever from the COVID crisis.
Look in your own backyard, there is so much to do.
Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, a Port Pirie game developer hits the big time, and art in Whyalla, which has to be seen to be believed. Welcome back. A Peterborough game developer has received lots of interest in his new creation, Blob Person, with the game being published by an Adelaide-based company. Stephen Lovegrove is working around the clock, with the game expected to hit screens by January next year.
A sneak peek of this new game set to be taking the state by storm. Stephen Lovegrove is one of the few to take on a TAFE SA regional gaming course as part of a federal government initiative.
Things like 3D modelling and animation, and it was also partially with 2 actual game developers.
Now his game is being published by Adelaide-based company On Tilt Interactive.
Blob Person, it's a 3D puzzle platformer, and I made it for the course.
Fantastic. So we did this course and it was kind of a surprise at the level of quality that was coming out of it.
Blob Person is based on traditional game formats.
It can be compared to something like Mario or Crash Bandicoot. There's puzzles in there as well. As you go through the level, occasionally you'll come across a puzzle and you'll have to solve it.
The future is bright for emerging game developers, with the course one of the first of its kind in the regions.
I imagine there's a lot of people like me who are in these regional areas who are learning game development but just have no contacts,
Thing to do is to network. Like, honestly, if you want to get anywhere, because you're going to need help at some point.
Blob Person is set to be released in January, with a demo coming out soon.
A little under 2 weeks we'll be putting out a demo, which is just the first level, and that'll be free on a site called itch.io.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Port Augusta residents will tomorrow have the chance to hear the latest updates on the Joy-Baluke Bridge duplication. Workers, part of the Port Wakefield to Port Augusta Alliance, will be at the Institute Theatre hosting a community information session. Attendees will be able to see the latest concept designs and provide feedback. The session will be held from 3 till 7. Registrations can be found online. A passionate Whyalla artist has started a unique business venture, creating real-life paintings of people and their treasured animals. Wanting to share more of her visual artwork with the community, Chelsea Andrew has created a Facebook forum sharing her advice with locals.
A childcare worker by day and visual artist by night, this talented Whyalla local sharing more of her art pieces with the world.
I run a business on Facebook where I take commissions and orders and communicate all sorts of art ideas on there.
Originally posting a few of her designs online, Chelsea was surprised by the positive feedback from locals, many inquiring about personalised artwork. 10 years later, she's painted more than 300 designs, now wanting to grow her business further and share her passion for art with the community.
I've been part of many exhibitions, and I've run workshops for D-Faces, and I've been part of the schools as well with my children, helping them.
Chelsea also part of a recovery exhibition for mental health, painting this picture of an African woman carrying her baby on her back. The painting, one of Chelsea's favourites, symbolises hardship, a representation of her life at the time.
I express that through my paintings, and it's helped me to be in a better place.
Raising 2 young children and working full-time, this busy mother fits in her love for painting wherever she can.
I do make sure that I spend a dedicated amount of time Saturday and Sunday on them, and even if I need to get things done, I will spend a few hours after work as well once the kids are in bed.
Chelsea runs a Facebook page with other artists, sharing ideas, answering queries and taking orders for her business.
Visit C-Dubs Art on Facebook, or they can just message me personally and I'll get them onto it.
Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, Nathan will have this week's Fuel Watch and Brit will have the weather. Welcome back. Now let's see the local fuel prices. Here's Nathan with Fuel Watch.
After a tough week in petrol prices, it looks like regional centres are beginning to drop back down, so it wouldn't hurt to fill up the tank. Starting with unleaded, and here in Port Lincoln we've seen a marginal rise, averaging $1.19. Wyler has seen some relief with a 3-cent drop, now on $1.16 a litre. Port Augusta and Port Pirie hasn't moved from last week, sitting on $1.22 and $1.17. Good news for Kadina with a 1-cent drop, now on $1.17, while Broken Hill has seen a spike, now on $1.24. Adelaide has seen the biggest drop, with fuel sitting on $1.05, that's around a 28-cent drop. Moving over to diesel now, and Port Lincoln has stayed the same on $1.17, Wyler has seen a slight rise on $1.21, and Port Augusta is also in the red at $1.18. Port Pirie, Kadina and Broken Hill haven't seen any movement at all, sitting on $1.17, $1.14 and $1.25. Adelaide again seeing a drop to $1.14. Taking a quick look at Autogas, and there's not much to report, with all regional centres the same as last week. Port Lincoln, Port Augusta and Kadina on 89 cents a litre, Wyler 84, Broken Hill 83 and Adelaide 74 cents a litre. Now remember, these prices are the regional averages and do not reflect any one particular outlet. And if you do find a spot that does sell unleaded diesel or Autogas for cheaper, make sure to let us know on our Facebook page.
Now for a look at your weather, here's Brit Aylen.
Thanks Louise, and good evening. After a cold morning dropping to -1 at Port Pirie and -2.4 at Clare, it did warm up to a mostly sunny afternoon today. Port Augusta and Whyalla both recording the region's high of 21 degrees. It reached 20 at Woodna, 19 degrees at Broken Hill and Port Pirie, 17 at Port Lincoln, Kadina and Cleve, 16 was the high at Clare and Coffin Bay. An approaching trough caused cloud to cross coastal areas today, causing the odd shower about the west coast. Elsewhere, skies remained mostly clear under a high pressure system. Moving on to tomorrow, west to northwesterly winds about the Gulf waters, reaching 10 knots in the morning, seas around 1 metre with south to southwesterly swells. And it's going to be a foggy Thursday morning, but clearing to a sunny afternoon at Port Lincoln, looking at a top of 16 degrees. Cleve sunny later on with a high of 17. A frosty start for Woodna, then sunny and 19. A sunny day on the way for Whyalla, 16 the high there. Port Augusta also sunny once that fog clears with a top of 19. Kadina mostly sunny and 16. Another chilly morning on the way for the mid-north. Port Pirie warming up to a sunny 17 degrees. Clare morning fog clearing to a mostly sunny afternoon, 15 the high. Broken Hill mostly sunny and 17. Now let's take a quick look ahead to the end of the week. Sunny conditions forecast for Friday with a bit of cloud over the lower Eyre Peninsula. Woodna with a high of 22 degrees, Broken Hill 18, Port Pirie and Port Lincoln both 19 degrees. Saturday, sunny to the north, but fine and partly cloudy about most of the Spencer Gulf region. Maximum temperatures sitting in the late teens and early 20s. And finally to Sunday, where it's looking to be sunny at Broken Hill, fine and partly cloudy elsewhere. Port Augusta 22, Port Pirie 19, Port Lincoln a top of 15 degrees. And that's all for today's weather report. Louise, it's back to you.
Thank you for that, Brit. And that's your local news for this evening. Thank you for your company. We'll be on tomorrow night at 6:30 because of the AFL. We'll see you later on with updates. Good night.